Emotional awareness is literally coming back into connection with your emotions. You don't deny them, you just find a way to healthily process and allow your emotions to manifest in your life. So many of us naturally cut off our emotions and we ignore them. And we, especially the ones that are difficult for us, we shut them down, we turn them off, we just distract ourselves, numb ourselves out. The idea behind why emotional awareness actually matters is based on the fact that when you feel your emotions, whether you act on them or not is a very different story. But when you feel your emotions, by feeling them, you are coming back into the self and you are not disassociating anymore. And that is something that we as humans have kind of learned to do in order to cope with what life throws at us, right? Especially the really challenging things that we may not really know what to do with. And so when we disassociate from ourselves, we also are disassociating from a deeper level within us. And so your emotions are kind of like the gateway to that deeper level of yourself. And so when you can learn to not only listen, but to feel into your emotions, you can begin to really deepen that connection with yourself because you're creating an honest and open dialogue with yourself about how you're feeling, what's going on within you, and using those emotions to help you make choices that are more in alignment, and that's interesting because we don't want to act off of our emotions all the time because when we act only from an emotional state, it is very, very often misaligned. But when we can listen to our emotions and we can take the information that's coming in from them and we can logically think about what's going on and why. So it's creating a balanced relationship with your emotions, right? That's why it's important because when you create a balanced relationship with your emotions, you are allowing them to be heard and to be seen, which is very healing because many of us do not allow those things to come through at all, right? So when we allow those things to come through us and come up, then we can actually take a moment to allow those things to be released. And then how we choose to move forward is another level, right? That's where we use the logical side of our emotions or the logical side of evaluating our emotions. We don't have to just act impulsively from the emotion, but we then instead say, what is this emotion trying to show me? What is it trying to teach me about myself? Instead of looking at it as like some kind of monster coming to get you, take another way of looking at it is that you are now allowing your emotions to help you get to know yourself. And so when you feel your emotion and you really understand it, you're going to feel like you want to express it, right? To let it out because and there's many different ways you can do this. You can journal, you can honestly just make videos of yourself. You don't have to post them or share them with anyone. You just, or voice record, whatever you want to do. You just need to talk it out or write it out or something. Like that is a really, really helpful way to allow yourself to feel the emotions without then acting irrationally in the moment, right? So if something triggers you, instead of like yelling at that person or getting really, really upset about certain things, you kind of say, okay, that really made me angry. And you recognize the emotion. And then if you don't have the space to properly process that at the moment, that's okay. You can come back to it later. As long as you come back to it, you have to come back to it and say maybe at the end of the day and say, okay, this really bothered me. What about this situation bothered me? Why did I get upset? You have to ask yourself questions and allow yourself to really identify what's going on. And then it'll come back through you and you'll feel it all again. And you can just write it out. You can yell and scream into a video, however you want to do it that makes you feel better, where you're not hurting yourself or anyone else. That's what matters, is learning how to regulate yourself without necessarily controlling your emotions. You're allowing them to be there, but you don't have to take action on them right in that moment. You don't have to do anything in any moment right away. If it's better for you to take a moment to sit back and relax and say, you know what, I'm going to come back to this later, as long as you are coming back to it, then there's no problem with taking time before you actually process what happened, right? And process how you're feeling. So, and then this will get easier. And then in the moments, you're going to be able to eventually process quicker, right? So you're going to be able to create that dialogue faster within your head. And you say, oh, okay, well, I'm upset. And it happens quicker, quicker, quicker. So then you can actually handle those situations in the moment a lot faster. But in the beginning, if you struggle with overreacting to your emotions, it's better to, if you can, just find a way to just pause for a moment and really like pay attention to what you're feeling and say, you know what, if this isn't an appropriate time, to be able to recognize that and then come back to yourself later. That's okay. So really what's happening is you're getting to know yourself and what makes you upset, what makes you happy. We have to learn the happy emotions too, because a lot of us focus so much on avoiding the negative ones, but we don't really pay attention to what actually makes us happy either. And we need to be paying attention to the good things, right? Like what makes us laugh, what makes us smile, what do we enjoy doing, what is our what lights us up, and those things you can also discover. And those can really also help you through your ability to regulate the more difficult emotions, because it just gives you a little bit more of an internal balance when you understand what is good and what makes you happy, and then also on the other end what struggles you have. So with emotional awareness, it is really the starting point of deepening your relationship with yourself. And why is deepening your relationship with yourself even important, right? Well, because if you don't know you, you cannot live and make decisions from an authentic place and in a true honor of yourself. You're going to be making decisions based off of what you think or what you have known that you are, but not really coming back into like who you really are. Because a lot of the things that I thought made me happy for a really long time didn't really make me happy. It was just numbing out certain things so that I didn't have to deal with them. And that's just the body's response to managing things it's not 100% equipped to manage, or it's normal. But if we want to change that and we want to be better, we need to look at ourselves holistically, right? The good stuff, the bad stuff. And none of it's really bad. It's just the stuff that you might think would be better served in a different way. That's all. So, the next part of this is, how do we even become emotionally aware, right? So, I've already kind of touched on this a little bit, but we'll go a little deeper. So, emotional awareness really is about taking the time to work through it. So, it's not always going to be a pleasant, fun experience. It's not like you're like, oh, yeah, I get to go do my favorite activity right now. Like, it's going to be uncomfortable for you to develop actual emotional awareness about yourself. And so, how we do this is by asking ourselves questions, paying attention to yourself. And so, in the next, attached to this section is a guidebook that I've created on emotional awareness, and it's got everything that it'll kind of get you started and help you create your own system of creating awareness within yourself. So I want you to go through that and do those exercises. There's good ones in there, and then there's some ones that are just, they're gonna help you flow through the the harder parts, right? Like if you have a triggering situation, you're going to work through that in the guidebook, but it also gives you the information as to like why we do certain things, and it provides you with the understandings to what's really going on, and then that way you can learn how to really manage beyond that. So anyway, so if you, when you're finished with this video, go ahead and check out that guidebook. And I really suggest you going through it. I mean, you can go through it at your own pace and there's no pressure, but it is really, really helpful, and it'll give you the tools and the guidelines to really help you actually work through it and actually do it. So, um, anyway, I really, really hope this is helpful, and thank you so much for just showing up for yourself, and you're amazing. And I'll see you in the next section.